This video was originally recorded August 2017 at the annual Buddha and the Yogis program held at Menla Retreat and Dewa Spa in Phoenicia, New York. To learn more about this annual program, please visit menla.us.
We're celebrating tomorrow. First 50 are the hardest. It's very lucky. I'm a lucky person. You know, I had wanted in this event to share with you a little bit about Vajrayogini, which is, you know the whole Chakra legend?
No.
About stories. It's a little worrisome, but a little bit nerve-wracking in relation to Shaivism, because there's the original story is the story of Parvati and Shiva, and she was the daughter of Himavan, who was like sort of like Brahma, but they called him Himavan, the Himalaya. And the mother's name was Menla. And they had a sacrifice, a barbecue, basically. A rabbinical barbecue. Sacrifice in heaven. And they wouldn't invite Shiva. And because even though he was husband of their daughter, Parvati, but they wouldn't invite him. Because he was rubbed with human bone ash, you know, had snake in his hair. He was like too funky for them. So they didn't invite him. So she was really bad. She was dishonored, you know, because they didn't invite her husband. So she jumped into the fire pit herself, sacrificed herself in the fire to sort of rain on their parade. And then he realized that Shiva, who was elsewhere, he came charging into the party, and he grabbed up her corpse, and he held it over his head, and he went into the Tandava, I think, right? Tandava, the dance, you know.
The dance of destruction.
And the whole universe was crumbling, because he was so angry, and he was so upset, and grieving, and angry, and all this. And the gods were really freaked out. The whole universe will be destroyed. And so they called in Vishnu. I guess they got him out of his nap over there with his sticky mat.
They're always waking.
They're always waking
Always waking them up, you know.
And anyway, he came, and he couldn't stop Shiva either, but he had the idea that if he cut the corpse to pieces with his discus, by throwing the discus, then when there was no more corpse, then Shiva might calm down, you know, something like that. So he starts dismembering the corpse of Parvati. And the pieces fall, 32 pieces usually, I think, right? They say fell everywhere all around in India and Himalaya and some places sort of in Asia, you know. Mostly India and Himalaya, and maybe other people have other theories. And then each of those places became a peeth, what they call a peeth, like a seat, a holy place for yogis and yoginis. And then he stopped dancing, but then he went off and meditated, and then he was doing tapas, you know, the inner heat, and it was so huge that again the gods were really upset that the universe would be consumed and turned to ashes. He was so hot, so he would get so hot, you know. So then she luckily reincarnated. She was a goddess as Uma, and her reason she has the name Uma is that her mother said, this life, I don't want you suffering like the last life. And U means to suffer, so Uma, may she not suffer. So she never suffered. So like that. Then she somehow grew up quickly, I guess, or Shiva's meditation was taking time.
It took a long time.
So she was like a nubile, young, like teenage beauty. And the gods said, okay, let's get Uma, we'll bring him over. And then we'll get Cupid, Kama, to come with his bow and arrow, and he'll be hiding up in a tree where she was meditating. And then just when she's coming in front of Shiva, where he'll open his eyes and see her, he shoots the arrow, and Shiva will open his eyes, and then he'll fall in love with her, and then he'll calm down.
And he'll stop meditating.
What?
He'll stop meditating.
Yeah, he'll start meditating and creating this heat.
Yeah.
So then, this is they're about to do that. Shiva knows that the plot, of course, because he's a deity, right? So he opens his third eye and he incinerates Cupid. So one of the names of Cupid is Anangapati, the bodiless lord, which actually makes him even more effective in making people fall in love with each other and like go crazed and get crazed because he sneaks up on them because he has no body.
They can't see him.
But his wife Rati, her name is Rati, and she's not happy about it. Anyway, that's the first part of the story. Then the second part of the story is that some Shiva people, maybe, I don't know, Bhairava they call it. It's like a sort of demonic offshoot of Shiva, let's say. But Shiva means peaceful. He and a bunch of 32 different, deity couples, and they become kind of demonic. And they get into sort of serious pleasure, and, they're into practically cannibalism and wild stuff in all of these 32 seats, and they're really out of hand. They're just a wild cult. So then Buddha, takes the form of Chakrasambhara, which is very Shiva-like type of form. And he brings in this retinue of 32 bodhisattva couples, and they somehow go and they turn this around. They turn the Bhairava, and Kalavatri is her name, and they turn them into, doing bodhisattva meditation and seeking great bliss, and not just going after the most funky kind of demonic, like power crazy pleasure, which they were doing. And so then Shiva is Kailash. So then in the Buddhist view, Kailash is this abode of Shiva, and when you go to Kailash, you don't have to make a mandala of Shiva, because the mandala is always open at Mount Kailash. That's their view of it. And of course the Hindus, it's Shiva's, Uma's home, although then actually that part ends well, because Shiva is back again being Shiva. He's not anymore, the Bhairava demon has been helped by, Buddha has helped control the Bhairava demon, and Shiva is being Shiva, nice and peaceful. And then he does fall in love with Uma, but not by the connivance of Kama. What Uma does is she's pissed, like, okay, he didn't even bother to look at me, he just incinerated Kama. Like, that wasn't my plan, that was their plan. I remember him from my life, he's my guy, I don't. So she she said, okay, he wants to be Mr. Ascetic and Mr. Tapas, I'm going to be Ascetic and Tapas. So she goes on the hillside across from where he is, and she sits there, and he has 4 fires around him in the sunshine, and he's staring at the sun or whatever, it's mortifications he's doing. And she has 6 fires. She's doing harder. She's more ascetical than him, way far. And after a while, he gets this tremendous heat is turning up there, the goddess. And so he kind of looks over. Then she sees that he's kind of a little bit coming out of his meditation, he's aware of what's going on. So she goes over, and then she flatters him, she pretends, oh, I'm a divinity student from Harvard. I hear you're a yogi. And I'd like to know, what are you meditating about? I'll write it down. I'd like to interview you. So he's very, likes that. And eventually they fall in love again, they get married. And then they go, and Kailash is one of their homes, but there are all these other mountains all over the place. They go to Bali, they go to Thailand, they go everywhere. And that's very sexy, the poetry of the Kumara Sambhava. Of course, the whole plan of that is the gods have the scheme that they want her to give birth to the war god, right. Kumara, because then he has to get another demon, right? And you probably have the end of the story. And they produce Ganesha and the Kumara, 6-faced Kumara. Anyway, that's the Chakrasambhara. So then Chakrasambhara has his consort, the female side of Chakrasambhara, is Vajrayogini, she's usually called, or Vajrayogini. And she's red. He has a black body, and he has 4 faces, which front is black, left is green, right is red, and back is red, and white is, and right is yellow gold. And he has 12 arms, and he holds different things, and he's very like this. He looks a little bit like, he's not like Vajra, who looks just like the Tandava Shiva, the dancing Shiva. But he's just like Shiva, actually, really quite similar. And, but sometimes he likes to just be a female. He doesn't want to be a male. And she's usually sometimes one leg down and one leg around his waist, sometimes both legs embracing him in the waist, because they're standing in union. She has two arms, and she's ecstatic, and his front face is facing her, and his other faces are looking this and that way. He has like a moon, crescent moon, his hair too, he doesn't have any snake. But he's semi-fierce, what they call semi-fierce, but a little more erotic than fierce. And then sometimes he doesn't want to be a male, so he turns himself into a staff called a katlanga, which is like a shaman's staff, or it's like a minister's staff, like a powerful thing. And so that's him. And then she's just female. And she's the same Shiva Chakasambhara, but she's just a female, a lone female. There are forms of the fierce deities that are just male. I call them the Lone Ranger forms. But this is a lone female ranger, rangerette form of the Vajrayogini. And it's something really precious and special to Vajrayogini. I call her Ms. Buddha. And she's really dynamic. I had sort of a vision about her 51 years ago, where she was standing she stands on a solar disk, or a supernova type solar, many million suns disk, And I had this vision under a certain influence, where there was nuclear power, And then the Vajrayogini was standing like gigantic and talking to like people, like bushes and weirdos. They were like, no way, we're not use that. And so I really like this. And I wanted to read a verse of that at some point this evening.
I have a question about...
What?
So Vajrayogini, the staff
Yes.
that Chandrakirti became, does she have that staff?
She has it in the crook of her elbow.
Oh, so she's...
And she holds a skull ball like this.
Right, yeah.
Which has the blood of demon, or any kind of negative thing turned into a nectar. Like she's holding like this, a little bit tipped toward her. And she has this flaying knife, which looks like Martha's Vineyard Island. Yeah. It has like a thing like this. It looks like a chopper a little bit, but it has a hook on the end. And it's called a kartari.
Yeah.
Vajra kartari. She has that in this hand like that. And she's standing like this. And she's looking toward heaven, toward the Dakini heaven. She's doesn't like the infrastructure on this planet, but she's there, she's like that. That's her posture and her normal thing. Yeah. She's 16 years old and she has like long hair. She's stark naked, bright red, has like bone ornaments like around her body, but basically naked. And she's really intense. And I just wanted to read this. It's at the beginning of a sadhana of hers. Because I had wanted to share that with you all, just to give you an idea of something terrific. In the mandala of supreme unsullied bliss, may glorious Heruka, Father, Mother, God. Heruka is the sort of dynamic, actually I'm sure it's cognated with Hercules, actually. It's like Heruka. Heruka, Father, but it means Heruka. It means non-duality. They have a thing. He means personal self, means objective selflessness. Ru means personal selflessness. Ka means their union, the union of subject and object. Anyway, a glorious Heruka, Father, Mother, God, skilled connector of voidness and fabrication, sport forever ecstatic in my eternal drop. In other words, a micro Sakasambhara comes in the heart center, right? In the eternal drop. In the A realm, that's the A of the word Evam. In the A realm, which is a symbol of the letter E in Sanskrit is like triangular, and that's a symbol of the cosmic yoni, where birth comes from. Where in the A realm, compassion, one taste, magic theater, her ecstatic beauty dance leads poor beings to the great bliss realm. May that accomplished artist, the Buddha Vajra Queen, protect us all forever. To care for the fortunate in the 24 holy lands, that's what there are 24 different special places. They create various visions of uncertain transformations. May the field-born, mantra-born, and orgasmic Dakinis keep us lovingly and grant our wished-for powers. especially when we're caught in this darker days, Kali Yuga. This best special shortcut, very deep and fast. Springtime energy of the Tantra meaning ocean. The Dakini's heart essence nakedly revealed. May the highly fortunate take it as an ornament. That's just like an invocation. It's like the Guru Nam, you know. Namo Guru Nam. Vande Guru Nam.
Namo Guru.
So it's just, it's my own
That's
little
beautiful.
enthusiastic translation. But, and then I want to teach you the mantra of that, but in its time. This evening I'm going to share her mantra with you.
Yeah, do it.
Special mantra. Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
So you can write it down or we can recite it together.
Yeah.
For some reason she has 3 ohms. And I can't really explain why. But she has 3 ohms. So it's om, om, om. And the way that you do it when you learn it, so you don't, when you do it, do 400,000 mantras or 100,000 if you do a retreat, the ritual, what they call the fitness retreat, the fledgling retreat, something like that. You go om, om, and then you do om, and then go into the mantra, so that you don't miss all 3. And om, 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 probably the 3 bodies of Buddha, they represent something. Om, om, om. Okay, so let's do that. Om, om, om. Om Sarva Buddha.
Om Sarva Buddha.
Dakiniye.
Dakiniye.
Vajravarnaniye.
Vajravarniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Hum, hum, hum.
Hum,
Hum hum hum.
Pat, pat, pat.
Pat, pat, pat.
That's the mantra.
Nice.
Okay? And so we'll do it again. Om, om, om.
Om Om Om.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Vajravarnaniye.
Vajravarniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Hum, hum, hum.
Hum hum hum.
Pat, pat, pat.
Pat pat pat.
Tibetans actually say pe, 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 because they don't pronounce the final ta, but I think we should pronounce it actually. It's meant to be a kind of jolting sound, okay? Om, om, om.
Om Om Om.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Vajravarnaniye.
Vajravardhaniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Hum, hum, hum.
Hum hum hum.
Pat, pat, pat.
Pat pat pat.
Om, om, om.
Om,
Om
om,
Om Om.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Vajravarnaniye.
Vajravardhaniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Hum, hum, hum.
Hum hum hum.
Pat, pat, pat.
Pat pat pat.
Om, om, om.
Om Om Om.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Vajravarnaniye.
Vajradakiniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Hum, hum, hum.
Hum hum hum.
Pe, pe, pe.
Pat pat pat.
See, sometimes they put a swaha in there. You don't have, you can if you want. But you're saying many times you don't need to. Om, om, om. Okay, again. Om, om, om.
Om Om Om.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Vajravarnaniye.
Vajradakiniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Hum, hum,
Hum hum hum.
pe, pe, pe.
Pat pat pat.
Swaha.
Swaha.
Om, om, om.
Om Om Om.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Vajravarnaniye.
Vajradakiniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Vajradakiniye.
Hum, hum, hum.
Hum hum hum.
Pe, pe, pe.
Pe pe pe.
Om, om, om.
Om Om Om.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Vajravarnaniye.
Vajradakiniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Vajradakiniye.
Hum, hum, hum.
Hum hum hum.
Pe, pe, pe.
Pat pat pat.
Om, om, om.
Om Om Om.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye. Vajravarnaniye.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye. Vajradakiniye.
Vajravairochaniye. Hum, hum, hum. Pe, pe, pe.
Vajradakiniye. Pat pat.
Om, om, om. Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Om Om Om. Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Vajravarnaniye.
Vajradakiniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Vajradakiniye.
Hum, hum, hum. Pe, pe, pe.
Hum hum hum. Pat pat pat.
Om, om, om.
Om Om Om.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Sarva Buddha Dakiniye.
Vajravarnaniye.
Vajradakiniye.
Vajravairochaniye.
Vajradakiniye.
Hum, hum, hum.
Hum hum hum.
Pe, pe, pe.
Pat pat pat.
Om, om, om. Let's all go together now.
Om Om Om. Sarva Buddha Dakiniye. Vajradakiniye. Vajradakiniye. Hum hum pat pat pat. Om Om Om. Buddha Dakiniye.
Vajrayogini, Vajrayogini, Om Om Pe Pe, Om Sarva Buddha Dakinya, Vajrayogini, Vajrayogini, Om Pe Pe. I keep wanting to say Swaha. I think I should. It's always weird. It's called the tail of the serpent of the mantra, actually. They say they make it into a serpent too. Om, okay, again. Om, Sarva Buddha Dakiniye, Vajrayogini, Vajrayogini, Om, Pe, Swaha. Om, Sarva Buddha Dakiniye, Vajrayogini, Vajrayogini, Om, Pe, Swaha. Om Sarva Buddha Dakiniye Vajrayogini Vajrayogini Om Pe Swaha Om Sarva Buddha Dakiniye Vajrayogini Vajrayogini Om Pe Swaha Om Sarva Buddha Dakiniye Vajrayogini Vajrayogini Om Pe Swaha. I was thinking that earlier today, Allen Ginsberg knew that mantra, and I never asked him where he learned it. Long before he met his Dharma teacher in America, he learned it in India on his early trip, and I never found out where he learned it. But he practiced this himself a lot. That's Vajrayogini. He got initiated eventually from Halek Rinpoche, and he practiced it. And the night he died, he called me at 3 in the morning, and normally I wouldn't have gone up to let the answering machine, but Nina woke me up and made me run into another room and pick it up. She knew. And then he was there, and he said, I'm dying soon, and I'm calling just a few people. He said, and I wanted to call you, he said, because you introduced me to Rinpoche and to this thing. And I want you to know that from having practiced this, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to die, he said. So I wanted to thank you. And I didn't teach him that. I just introduced him to the person who did. He was an amazing person. Actually, my old Mongolian teacher met him long before he met any other Tibetan teachers. And they had this funny altercation where he wouldn't believe and he wouldn't agree that Alan was an American. He said, you're an Indian sadhu. He says, you're not an American. They went all about. And I think Alan kind of liked it, actually.
Yeah.
Didn't mind.
Yeah.
He wasn't aggressive. But he was seeing some karma about Alan.
Yeah. Yeah.
You like his poetry? People, do you like Ginsberg? You know, do people know Ginsberg poetry?
No.
He was a teacher of poetry, at Brooklyn College and things, and he knew all about Blake, and he was really very learned in his way, and his own poetry fits in with it in a certain beautiful way. It was really quite nice.
He lived in Boulder when I
Yeah.
He
First
would
got
visit
there.
there. He lived in New York in the village.
He had an apartment there.
What, he did? I'm
Oh,
sure,
yeah,
because
yeah.
he really liked Trungpa.
Yeah.
Trungpa, although he was a little bit upset with Trungpa, because at one point Trungpa made him vote for Nixon. Well, because Trungpa thought he might fix the Chinese, like Tibetans sometimes their political views. But they're tougher, But Trungpa sneaked into his room one day and cut off his hair and his beard while he was sleeping. And this really impressed him or something. So he became a devoted student. Really interesting.
Yeah. I was just thinking of a very simple mantra.
For the what? Simple?
A very simple mantra.
Okay.
For those of us with, besides Om, like, you got to start with a mantra that you can remember. And so if your memory is sliding a little bit, most people can remember the words to Om.
The words Om.
The word Om. Yeah, that's the mantra.
Om.
Yeah.
This is good.
It's a nice one.
Why she has 3, I don't know.
Oh, there are a
think
lot
the
of
3 bodies
mantras.
of
I
Buddha.
learned mantras with 3
Really,
Om.
they have Om,
Yeah.
Om, Om.
Yeah.
Om, Ahum
It's
was
good.
often, those 3 are paired as body, speech, and mind, but Om,
Yeah.
Om, Om. I don't really know why. I don't know
Yeah.
whether that can be that. But I think it's something to aspire to, actually.
Yeah.
I like it. Beautiful.
There's one that for just breathe. It's called the Ajapa mantra.
Uh-huh.
Probably most of you have heard it. Japa means to talk, or these are for
recite or
japa.
repeat, yeah.
And ajapa means no talking. So it is an unspoken mantra,
Uh-huh.
and it's considered the sound of your breath.
Uh-huh.
Whether you make it aspirate or not, aspirate being the ujjayi,
Uh-huh.
or if you're in a quiet place, you don't need any aspiration of it. You're just and you're just listening to it, and that's the sound itself. And then the syllables, like you were saying, it was yesterday.
Yeah, that's
you were
about
saying
the
when we
japa.
do aha, om,
Yeah, Om,
ahum,
Ahum, yes.
that you're not really superimposing like the mantra
No, it is,
on it.
yeah,
It is the sound.
You experience it
As
Om,
the
Ahum,
sound.
and even with the color on the sound.
Yeah, and that's the same. The
I think
idea of
that's
the
the same.
Ajapa mantra is.
And what happens with that is when you hold the ah, after you do it a lot, then it's very effortlessly you dissolve into the central channel through the heart center, which is a very unusual way to dissolve there, rather than the navel center or the crown center.
Yeah.
You go in the heart center, directly in the heart center. That's considered very intense.
Yeah.
I guess. I hope so. Waiting for that to happen.
Keep
But you have to do
practicing.
it thousands and thousands and thousands of times.
Yeah, but the Ajapa mantra, since you do it with every breath,
Mm-hmm.
that's 21,600
600 a day.
a day. But who's counting? And there are 2 ways that it flips. The mantra, depending on whether masculine or feminine is being, just the kind of leading
Mm-hmm.
pattern in the mind. And so if it's masculine, it's soham.
Mm-hmm.
So is the shortened form of saha, which is he.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then so aham, or saha aham is the sandhi, you squish it together, and it's soham.
Uh-huh.
Soham, meaning I am he, grammatically.
Right.
But if you're doing it as a japa, you're not thinking that much. I mean, in every mantra you think about what it means,
Uh-huh.
and then you kind of get into it, and then you go through a long rhythmical, more musical
Mm-hmm.
section where you're not thinking about what it means that much, because it's so it's getting in there. You're experiencing what it means.
It means itself.
Yeah, it means
by
itself. Yeah, it can't be reduced to anything but itself. And so, but occasionally you have to flip back into what it actually means,
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of re-inspire, just to pay attention again.
Mm-hmm.
And then the feminine form I like. But
Mhm.
then they say if you're following this, soham, 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 if you say soham, soham, saham, 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 soham, 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 saham, 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 it becomes the hamsa mantra.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Hamsa.
flipped up.
Ah, sure.
And so
Hamsa,
that's
the swan.
the swan.
Wild goose.
the swan of discriminating awareness, Saraswati's vehicle
right.
that she
It's discriminating because the swan supposedly can take
exactly.
water and milk in a vessel and just take out the milk and leave the water.
Yeah.
They can suck in that kind of a
Well, I know how they do it.
What?
There's actually a technique to that.
Oh, there?
Yeah.
Actually? Okay.
They turn the milk into cheese. And then they can eat the cheese out of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with saliva.
Really? With their
Swan
so they
saliva.
have like a churning tongue?
Yeah.
The swan?
You don't have to
Wow.
churn it. You just put a little something
Acidic-
mildly
acidic
acidic,
tongue.
like lemon juice. We'll put lemon
have-
juice in your milk, and it turns to cheese.
They have an acidic tongue.
Brahma Hamsa.
Yeah.
Brahma Hamsa.
And so in the mantra, when you're inhaling,
Mm-hmm.
just the sound of breath, and you got to actually listen, because it's like a very gentle Himalayan breeze, the sound. That's sa, she. And then as you exhale, hum, which could be hum if you, and that's the exhalation. And you're just listening.
You sort of, when you inhale, you sort of internally pronounce Om without, internally, in other words, without sounding it, but then you try to like fuse the inhalation sensation with that, so that you don't, you're not imposing on it, it is it.
Yeah, there's no separation at all.
Yeah, that's the Vajra japa. Again, Vajra, once Vajra is connected to anything, you know what Vajra means? A clear light, you know.
Yeah, once it's,
So it makes it relatively absolute.
yeah.
And her mantra, you know, Sarva Buddha Dakini, all the Buddhas, you are the Dakini who are all Buddhas.
Yeah.
You know. And then Vajravarnaniya means you are of a golden color. You are radiantly, effulgently golden.
Sivarna is gold, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And then Vajravarnaniya, but with the Vajra gold, you know. And then Vajrayogini, Vajrayogini means shining, like radiant like the sun. You are Vajrayogini, so that's like shining like the sun. Vajrayogini means shining. Hum, 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 pe, 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 swaha. There is a swaha.
Swaha.
That's our goddess. Ms. Buddha. She's a
But-
bit fed up with the world, and she's looking like that. I'd rather go back up to my Dakini.
And she's holding
Yeah, hold that.
the
Yeah.
skull. Yeah.
I'm looking to the side. That side.
That's what we were doing. Was that today? I said they were, as if they were, I didn't want to say as if you were holding a skull full of
And the Katanga's in
blood.
the crook of this, somehow, by the way she's holding, the Katanga's
She's got
standing on the ground,
So she-
behind her leg like that, and going up the crook of the elbow.
Oh, a
The
yoga
Katanga,
danda.
the main part of the Katanga, the three heads.
Yeah.
You know, there's a skull and a dried head and a freshly severed head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen
And then
that.
a vase and a Vajra. The Katanga has, and it's the 8-sided shaft with the Vajra at the bottom.
So Vajrayogini doesn't wear a garland of skulls.
Yeah, she does.
Oh, she does?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then she has
yeah.
another bone, it's a bone belt.
Oh, right, she has a
And
bone with,
like a kind of apron, but it doesn't obscure her nakedness, but the bone thing
Yeah.
is there. And then
Yeah.
she's not, her body is it's kind of like a moist ruby red, ruby plasma. It's not, there's no ash or anything like that, but she has like a nice clean white skull necklace. Upavita, Brahma Upavita.
yeah,
The Brahmin cord,
yeah. Mm.
And,
So- There's this delightful form of the goddess called Chinnamasta.
yes.
Mm.
That's it. And there were two, of the 84 siddhas, there were two siddhas,
Huh.
whose names I have forgotten, who were masters of the Chinnamasta yoga. And they are often depicted holding their head in their hands.
Yeah.
Because they gave their head to the guru, and he said, "Okay, great, I know you can do that, now put it back on."
Yeah, putting it back on is the trick. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
actually a cult in
Right.
India. They're temples to
I'm
Chinnamasta.
sure they are.
Where, and because India is India, and you could expect this, there are devotees of Chinnamasta who
Yeah.
they prepare and they become very athletic so that they're able to go into the temple at certain auspicious times,
Yeah.
and they practice cutting off their own head and placing it on the altar. You can only do it once. But that's her
Yeah,
thing.
they still do, there are places where they still do that.
Apparently so. And but
those siddhas who did it, they didn't leave it there, they put it back on.
yeah, that's the whole
Right.
thing, yeah. But the idea is that, it's symbolizing enlightenment when the head is separated. And then, for example, Chinnamasta was out hiking one day with
Yes.
her two Dakini attendants. And they were on a long hike, like the one that some of you took today, apparently. And so they were going up the hill, and they were, and for some reason they were hungry. And they kept complaining to Chinnamasta, like, when are we going to eat? Yeah, and she just said, at first she was like saying, just to be patient. And then finally, she just turned to them and she looked at them. She really adored them. And what she did is she just took her own head and she went, cut off her own head. And then she held her head in her hand. And there were 3 streams, the 3 fountains of blood that came out of her neck.
Right.
One, the central one, she drank, because she put her head over here so she could drink her own central channel nectar. So her head is like this, she's holding it, and her head's going, smiling. And then the 2 Dakinis on the side, they're drinking like that too. And they're all wearing garlands of skulls.
I know.
Which symbolize, the discriminating awareness is so sharp that nama and rupa are no longer confused.
Right.
And so then the process of ignorance ceases, where you stop trying to make what is, something else. You stop the process of, that arising of mind, which starts with the confusing nama or map and territory, or the thing and the symbol of it. And so you stop, and that causes the stunning, and then you drink the nectar, which in their case is blood. But in many of these, the Devi is actually drinking some kind of intoxicating nectar before she starts. So it's a tradition.
I think that's it.
And of course, and I believe, although I've never done the skull thing, but I
You never what?
having this human skull, the top part as a cup.
Yes.
I relate to it in a way.
Well, there is a visualization in this sadhana where your guru is there, and who in the form of what they call Vajradharma. He also has a reddish color, the guru, in that Vajradharma form, like Vajradhara or Vajrasattva, this Vajradharma. And then your own mind, which is the Vajradakini or Yogini in your own mind, Ruby, kind of comes out and gives him a kiss. And then comes over to you and slices off the top of your head and puts it on a tripod and then burns it with the glance of her eye and then dissects you completely into tiny little bits and throws it into your own skull as a big cauldron.
For the rest of your
the rest of you, and then in your visualization, and then boils it by glands from her fiery eyes, and then it's a nectar that you then offer to everybody. To the guru especially, but then to everyone. And it's like it's what they call the jur practice, the severance practice, where you go to charnel grounds and you invite ghouls to come and feast on you and so on. That's a big thing that they do. But this dismembering of you by the Dakini is a symbol of pratyas and analyzing down to the atoms and subatomic particles and everything dissolving under analysis and being turned into nectar. So it's a beautiful kind of like a visualization and a ritual thing like that. But nobody actually hacks their head off. So far. Except those two female siddhas, Mahasiddhas. But the Mahasiddhas do all kind of miraculous things like that. Because in physics, I never call them supernatural. I call them supernormal. Because they're natural. If you can manifest from the Vajra level, of the pure infinite energy that is the cohesion, the love energy of the universe, then you can do anything through a different causality, than the normal causality in our plane. I mean, logically I can see that, but I can't do it, and if I saw it done, I think I'd faint. But logically, they can't say that these things cannot be the case.
Yeah.
People live for hundreds of years or do whatever. It's possible. So everything is possible. Their thing about the redshift and all the stars and the galaxies are running away from Earth.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Naturally they are. We're polluting the hell out of the place.
Yeah, they want to get away.
Badly, we have bad television, crappy movies. Naturally they're leaving.
And the television is being broadcast into outer space.
No.
Those are electromagnetic transmissions.
I know.
That some innocent people somewhere, they're tuning in and taking their real stories.
I know. I do like it though. People said that Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan and his gang are the ice creatures in the Game of Thrones. The ice zombies. They keep coming back. You think you kill them and they're coming back. Take away your health care. Make you into a zombie.
Yeah.
I do like that. If somebody's watching that, they'll stay away from them.
Yeah, they'll stay away.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the Shaiva Tantras, do they have anything with like Uma by herself is the thing, and you model yourself as Uma alone?
Oh, as Uma, I don't know.
She's always there with
Yeah.
him, and he teaches her, she teaches him. But whether they ever have her alone, probably not. That's another one of my arguments against Sanderson.
Oh, yeah, well,
Because the Buddhists are not so scared to do things like that.
yeah.
Whereas the theist is going to be
The
more
theists,
scared.
yeah, they're a little more cautious.
So the more daring things, I think the Buddhist is going to do though. He's going to start off, and then they're going to see that.
Yeah.
It's
But-
like when I'm in Kansas, I give a lecture, and I talk about how Buddha met God. And when he met God, he said, "How does the world work? You created it. Like, I want to know how it works. Could you explain to me?" And then God gives him a hard time. And actually, first thing God did was say, "Do you have an appointment?" No, I'm busy. I'm God, And so he brushes him off. But then later he sneaks out. The God does, and he Brahma, and he says to Buddha, "Look, people think I created it. I didn't actually create it. I'm really big shot. I'm big and strong, and I can do a lot of good, and I tried to do a lot of good, but I didn't create it. I was just the first person in this cycle who showed up here. And then the reason I didn't tell you, and I was rude to you, which I shouldn't be to a yogi who's a shaman, I was seeking a reality, to know reality, but I was rude to you because I couldn't tell you the truth in front of the little godlings there in my court. Because what happened, I was the first person, and then where is everybody? And then they all showed up. And the gods at that level are born by apparition. They don't need womb. They just pop out of a lotus. And so they were all there. And then when they saw me, they went, "Adada." They thought I was their creator. So at first I said, "I'm not your creator. Don't blame it on me. We're all in it together," sort of thing. I tried that, and they got so nervous and so hysterical. Finally, I said, "Okay, I'm Dada. Everything is fine. No problem." So if I had said in front of them that I didn't know what was going on, then they would have had, "We don't have many shrinks up here in Akhanista heaven," he said to Buddha. So he said, "You can figure out how it works, you will know, and then I really want you to do me a favor." And what is that? You tell the human beings down there, I don't mind being worshipped by them when everything's going well for them. But when things are horrible, I don't want their hatred. Tell them I didn't make the evil. I didn't make their suffering. I don't do that. I try to help people out. And Brahma is a really nice guy.
He is.
He's pretty good. He doesn't do anything too nasty to anybody. Right?
No, and he has a lovely,
What?
his form is Saraswati,
Yeah.
his consort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Brahma's consort or something?
Yeah.
We have it as Manjushri's consort. That's interesting.
Ah.
That is interesting. Yeah, Brahma is really good. And there's another sutra about Brahma. He really likes Buddha. There's a sutra where Buddha goes to the 33 heaven, where Indra rules in Sudarshana, in the top of Mount Meru.
Mhm.
And the 33 heaven gods, they're like, they don't want to go, but Buddha's coming, and Indra says, Buddha's coming, you've got to sit down, you're going to have a class, you're going to have a talk by Buddha, he's going to give a lecture here. His mom lives here, and she goes back, that's where she stays, in Maya Devi. And so you're going to sit and learn. And they're saying, well, are you crazy, man? We're partying. Okay, we'll talk to Buddha, we're partying. And then he said, no, you guys all sit down and you listen carefully, because you know what? Brahma is coming down from the form realm, and he's going to make sure that the class is like attentive and in line and carefully listening. No party today. It's actually a sutra.
Yeah.
And they say Buddhism is atheistic. I mean, they relativize them. They don't say anyone total, all-powerful, everything, but they're totally present as characters in the drama.
Totally.
In the story.
Yeah.
Totally. When I tell that in Kansas, or Oklahoma, or once in Oxford, Mississippi, there's this sort of feeling in the audience, you can feel it. So there's what's called a pause for lightning. and now there's no lightning so far. And then there's this relaxation goes into it. No, really kind of relaxed. Southern Baptist Convention's not going to get me today.
Well, Brahma, he's born out of the navel of Vishnu.
Yeah.
So Vishnu is doing yoga.
Right.
Just loves that stuff. He unites prana and apana, samanavayu, and then a lotus flower grows out of his navel. You got to feel it. You can actually plant seeds in your navel, like sesame seeds and seeds about that size.
Oh, really? They can grow?
Well, depends on how clean your navel is. A lot of people have a little bit of, dirt there, and it's moist.
Yes.
Why not? Okay. So you put a sesame seed in your navel, and it takes about a week or two, and you start to get this little tickling feeling. And of course, seeds grow in two directions.
Yeah.
And so the roots are starting to pierce into the remnants of your umbilical cord, and then the stem comes out. It's really cool. And then, so this is what Vishnu does. And then it's a lotus flower. And of course, the lotus loves to grow. Lotus is pankaja. It's born out of mud, out of dirt. And so if you have dirty navel, a little shesha.
Pankaja is Sanskrit for pelvic floorboard.
Yeah. And then the flower opens, and in it is newborn Brahma, who's like, and as soon as the flower opens, it's like, and he has no idea what's going on. And he's like, but he's just purely innocent. He's a sweet character in all the mythology. And then he hears, words like, and so they're all different stories. And then
there's one really funny thing. After reading this one sutra like 30 times in classes, I noticed this one thing. In the 62 false views that people get, like extremist convictions that people get stuck in, there's one sutra like that called the Brahma Jala Sutta, Pali. And there's one type of person of the many types of people who get extremist views, who is an absolutely indelible monotheist. He will not believe that God didn't create the universe. There's no way that you ever can get that person to think so. And then Buddha said, why is that, monks? Because when in a previous life, that person was the Brahma of a local universe. Mm-hmm. And when he showed up first, and then he wondered, where is everybody? And he was sort of wishing for company. And then they all showed up, and then he thought he did create them. So that he then has the imprint left from that life, many, many lives ago, where he thought he did create the universe. So then he always thinks somebody's creating the universe. I mean, I'm not saying that I can even understand that, but what's amazing is that it's like, shrinks. Everybody blames their parents, right? Oh, mom screwed up. Dad, oh, he was terrible. He didn't pay me. He didn't take me to the park all the time. You know, oh, God, no quality time. Workaholic. So I'm so neurotic now. You know, everybody blames that because the shrinks have to put all of your characteristics and all of your hang-ups into your formative few years, tiny little time. Meanwhile, we've been accumulating hang-ups for a billion lifetimes. So we can analyze all sorts of things like that. You know? That Brian Weiss guy, remember he had a patient in Florida, a lady, and nobody could fix her problem, and he was from Yale, psychiatrist, and then she was having dreams and remembering lives in Egypt and stuff, and the people she was having these neuroses about in her family were different characters in her dreams, and then finally they kind of worked it out where by figuring out what interactions had happened in the previous life, she somehow healed her things in this life. She was cool about it. So then he's got into this whole thing about former and future life, that guy. And he definitely is not welcome at Yale any longer. But I think that's great. I don't know if you ever read the Many Lives, Many Teachers, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't work with me. I can't do it. I have blocks in there. I don't know what's wrong. But I remembered a few things finally. But when I tried to do it with those kind of people, I couldn't do it. Even though I have the conviction that it's the case.
You can't
It's the
remember.
best explanation, but I have some blocks,
Yeah.
actually. Some terrible things in previous lives I can't go to remember yet. There were some good things I did remember finally when I went to Mount Kailash.
Oh.
So sesame seed, only a sesame seed works? You could plant it?
No, we have to do some research.
If you were
That's
Vishnu, you could use the lotus,
A
right?
mung bean goes more quickly.
What's that?
Mung bean goes more quickly.
Mung bean does well?
Yeah, quickly. At least in Richard's navel.
Well, because it has a nice pelvic floor to
Yeah.
spread it through.
Of course.
Of course.
Yeah. It's all agriculture.
Can I get your car?
What?
Can I get your car keys?
Why?
And I need something out of your car.
Oh. I usually leave it. Vajrayogini. Oh yeah, okay. I have another thing. A feast. We're going to have a puja. And I'm going to read something from this sadhana, which is called a to in Tibetan. But what that is a Gana puja. So occasionally yogis, when they live in yogi communities, and the 25th day and the 10th day of the lunar cycle, the lunar month, they have what they call a group offering, and they have a kind of feast, and I'm going to find that. It's a really long one because it has a lot of things in it. And I'm going to read that, and we're going to read it together. That's it. You see. Oh, this is very nice. There's a song, Prayer for the Revelation of the Dakini's Lovely Face. And this is quite beautiful. I will read this to you anyway, just for fun, if you don't mind. This is called Prayer for Revelation of the Dakini's Lovely Face. In the bliss void theater of infinite Buddhas, you show various hallucinations of life and peace. Hear now, O beautiful angel queen, my heart calls you, guard me in love's embrace. And it's considered very auspicious to chant it in Tibetan, but I don't need to do that. In Akarishta, you are the victor's orgasmic consort. And this, I use that term, everyone says innate. You know, innate bliss. They go innate about sahaja. But sahaja means,
Yeah.
that's
Arising
the saha
together.
is the two organs.
Right.
But,
together.
and it particularly means like where they're not having ordinary sexuality and the whole body is enfolded and the whole universe is perceived as orgasmic. In other words, that's actually what, rather than ordinary dissipating, you know? So I'm the only one who does that, you know.
What are
they're
people,
gonna
how do
arrest
they
me and burn me
translate
at the stake.
sahaja?
What?
How do they translate?
I'm sorry?
How?
It's others translate.
Yeah, how do others translate sahaja?
Innate,
Innate.
yeah. Born together. So they thought, oh,
Well,
it's-
arising, simultaneously arising, but
Yeah, yeah.
it's the opposite, male and female simultaneously arising.
Right,
and then-
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's orgasmic, total orgasm. Like the building is an orgasm. The sesame seed, the lotus, the whole thing.
Sometimes they
And,
translate it as natural.
In Akanishta, you are the victor. I just have to
Yeah.
explain the word, I'm sorry. But in Akanishta, you are the Buddha's orgasmic consort. In the 24 holy places, you are queen of Pure Land Dakinis. All over this earth, you are all physical consorts. Holy lady, you are this yogi's or yogini's best savior. You are the natural void energy of my very mind. The real A realm, that's the letter A of Evam. Vam in the Vajra, that shouldn't be Vam. Vam in the Vajra city. On this magic continent, you also show yourself as a fearsome ogress and as a beautiful maiden. O holy lady, no matter how much I sought you, I found no truly established certainty about you. But at last my mind youth, weary of fantasies, found relief in the forest hut of the inexpressible. I'm so good. Ema, arise now from the angel realm. Sustain me by the truth of the glorious Heruka, king of tantras, which guarantees the great attainment. Just reading your Vajra Holiness's quintessence mantra. That's the one that I shared with you. Om Sabbabuddha Dakiniya Vajravaniya Vajravaniya. Then he says, in the forest on the outskirts of Orivisha, that's Orissa, you cared with the bliss of kisses and embrace for the Lord of Adepts, Vajragantapa. Gantapa is a bell. And he flourished in supreme communion. Please care for me in just that way. And this refers to this wonderful story about one of the Mahasiddhas who had been a monk, but then he left the monastery and wandered into the jungle as a siddha. And then a king saw him and felt he was a holy person and wanted to be his sponsor. But he didn't like that. He knew by clairvoyance that king was being oppressive to his citizens. And so he said, I wouldn't accept you as a sponsor. You were the last king on earth. And so the king was very angry. And so then the king went and posted on the wall outside his palace that any woman could go and seduce this guy and show he wasn't holy, you know, because he had been a monk. He wasn't claiming to be a monk when he saw the king, but, you know, he had been. So anyway, so anybody can go and seduce him, then I'll give them half my kingdom. But, you know, one of those things in an Indian story, right? So then this lady, this courtesan, madam from a, you know, high-level courtesan place, came and she had a beautiful daughter, you know, 16-year-old. She said, my daughter will do the trick, don't worry, Your Majesty. So then the daughter goes there, and she becomes the patron. The guy's in a hut, he's in the forest hut there. And she sends food in with a servant. And then one day she times it in monsoon time when a rainstorm is coming, and she brings it herself, and then it's all raining, you know.
She has
So
to
he has to
stay.
take her in, she has to stay. And then they get it on and they become like, she turns out to be Hidakini herself, and they get like this and that. And then she's so much, they're so much in love, and they're having such a good time, and because this is not the ordinary stuff, it's the extraordinary stuff, that she tells her mother, no, we don't want to like expose him yet, and they're having their idol there, you know, in the hut. And then they have these two children, actually, even. But so she says, tell the king that, you know, the proof will be there, there'll be these kids, you know. So then, finally, they have these two children, and then the king comes with his elephant and all these things. And then Vajragantapa comes out with his better half, and they each have a child in hand. They were holding hands with the child, and the king says, you see, you're just a worldly person, you're just a family man, and you wouldn't accept my sponsorship, blah, blah, blah. So as he's trying to say this, Vajragantapa and she turn into Chakrasambhara and start levitating. The two children are transformed into a Vajra and a bell. And then where they were, some spring comes gushing out of the ground and threatens to roll the king away in his elephant in a flood. And then Avalokiteshvara comes and puts a statue on top of it so that it plugs the spring and people can come and get holy water there. So that's what it's referring to, that story. And the word, I use the word communion for Yuganada, which people just use union, other translators. But Yuganada is very important because it's the tantric form of Buddhahood as a male-female. But the yuga means a pair, and nada means bound together. So you have to have, the Latin cum is the same as that, together. Whereas union, it just all becomes one thing. Whereas this is like two and one, both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I use communion, and Cardinal, whatever his name, please forgive me, anyway. So then this is another great one. Like, you carried holy kusali for all to see out of the Ganga into your heaven realm, and you also cared for glorious Naropa. May you take me also to your angel lover's city. And this refers to a great yogi called Kusali, who was in the retinue of Kanhapa, who was a really super duper, great guru, very famous Kanhapa. And Kanhapa was coming to do a big ritual in Benares, crossing the Ganga, and he and his top disciples, they just strode across the water, no problem. And Kusali was the newcomer, he was the newbie on the thing, and he was carrying all the equipment, the trunks, and the budgets, and the bells, and the bowls, and and he had to go sloshing in the water. And then there was an old crone on the side of the river there, and she was like, oh, she would say to Kanhapa, and say, I want to go to Benares to die. Can you take me across the river? You can walk on the water. Please take me across the river. And they're like, and then the big disciples just shooed her away and said, this is Kanhapa. He's not no time. He's going to do a big ritual for the king. So then she's just still there, and then he's coming with all the chests and everything. And she says, and he thinks about it. He says, well, okay, get up on my back. I'm carrying all these trunks. You sit on the trunk, She hardly weighs anything. She's like scrawny, like old crone. And so then he's going in the river, and he has to wade through the water. It's a ford, but he's practically sinking, and he's juggling all the packaging. He's freaking out, and then he becomes completely disoriented, and then he hears all this shouting. And then suddenly he realizes he's like 50 feet in the air and rising. And that the old crone is turning to Vajrayogini and is in front of him, embracing him. With their head thrown back, And the trunks and everything are just scattered everywhere. And then there's guys on the other shore who are saying, hey, wait a minute, the guru's over here. And the Vajrayogini turns like that and she says, you had your chance. I asked you to carry me across. But he's the only one who did. Bye, we're going to Dakini land now. And then Kusali went with him. Isn't that fun? I like that one. So you carried holy Kusali for all to see out of the Ganga into your heaven realm. And you also cared for glorious Naropa. May you take me also to your angel lover city. By the power of the compassion of the supreme root and ancestral lamas, the distinctive depth of the quick path of the great Tantra's ultimate secret, and my own yogini's pure universal responsibility, may I soon behold your smiling face, O loving Dakini. So that's that one. And then, finally I'll get to this thing I was looking for. It's all these offerings, endless offerings. Oh, here's the other thing. Okay, so now you just imagine that, you're there with your guru, and you have all this thing, and you visualize there's a big jar of here on the table, there's a big jar of elixir. And you go, okay, recite after me, Om Ahum.
Om Ahum.
Ha Ho Hri.
Ha Ho Hri.
Many times, but never mind. And it says, then you make the prayer, you say, let the ocean of wisdom elixir become inexhaustible. I offer medicine to the feet of the Lama and the three jewels. I worship with the supreme elixir which far transcends vulgar objects, the supreme commitment of all Buddhas, the foundation of all powers, all obstructive taints dispelled, free from presumptuous notions, this unexpelled spirit of enlightenment with its great bliss. May you be pleased. And then you go through a bunch of offering chants, which, I'll just do it, you imagine you're saying, where you go, ho, first of all, and then you say, this host offering ocean of taintless elixir blessed by samadhi, mantra, and mudra, I offer to please you, hosts of root and ancestral lamas. Om Ahom, thoroughly enjoy this wish-fulfilling glory. Em Aho, pray shower your great rain of blessings. So that's to the guru. And then you do it to the yogini. You say, oh, this host, repeat the same thing. Host offering of stainless elixir, blessed by samadhi, mantra, and mudra. I offer to please you, divine yogini queen hosts. Om Ahom, thoroughly enjoy this wish-fulfilling glory. Em Aho, please grant the supreme heaven-going power. Then you offer to the other deities, you offer to the host of all kind of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, you offer to the Dakinis, the mundane Dakinis and protectors, Dharma protectors, and then finally you offer to all living beings the elixir from the big ocean vessel that you have there. Then you offer all those usual things, flour, incense, perfume. Might as well say this one altogether. Om Vajrayogini.
Om Vajrayogini
Saparivara,
Saparivara
Argam,
Argam
Padyam,
Padyam
Pushpe,
Pushpe
Dupe,
Aloke
Gande,
Gande Navidye Shabda Ahum
Om Vajrayogini Saparivara,
Om Vajrayogini Saparivara Om Ahum.
Okay, then you praise her with this. You say, I salute you, Buddha Vajravarahi, Hum Pe. Om, holy yogini goddess, unfazed by the three worlds, Hum Pe. Om, great Vajra conquering all elemental terrors, Hum Pe. Om, dominating glance, alive at Vajrasana, invisible, Hum Pe. Om, scorcher of Brahma with fierce fury body, Hum Pe. Om, holy triumphant, scorching and terrifying devils, Hum Pe. Om, triumphant over all stupefiers, petrifiers, and deceivers, Hum Pe. Om, I bow to you, Vajravarahi, generous queen of the great passion yoga, Hum Pe. And then you do this, then you offer to the guru, you say, oh Vajradhara, please attend to me. But someone gets up and does this, please accept this excellent host. I offer with a mind of faith, and so accept it with great bliss. And then everyone says, say it with me, Ema,
Ema
great peace,
Great peace
Yay,
Hey
great host, blazing burns addictions,
Great host Blazing burns addiction
everything,
Everything
Aho,
Aho
great bliss,
Great bliss
Aho Mahasukha Ho.
Ahom Mahasukha Ho.
Then the Guru says, here now regard all things as good. Let this gathering have no doubt. Please enjoy this host and know the oneness of Brahmin, outcast, dog, and pig. Just to shock people. In answer to that, then the Guru says, blissful Buddha Dharma is priceless, free of taints of lust and greed, transcending subject and objects, reverent homage to suchness. And again, Aho Mahasukha Ho. So then you take here, have a piece.
Oh.
And you have to eat it. But you save a little corner of it and put it back in something. We have a blank thing. Well, we can just put it back. Just eat it. And just keep a little corner, put it on the table. Okay, everybody gets a piece. Can someone take the plate around? We should have broken it in small enough pieces. And everyone gets a little piece. And you at least touch it in your tongue if you're an anti-sugar person, then okay, but save most of it as a leftover. There's a leftover. You have to have a tiny leftover because the spirits outside are looking in jealously and they want some. So we have to have a little piece. So we save, we take out to them.
We'll be nice to him.
Okay?
Do you want something for the little leftover?
Bob, do you want something for the
What's
leftovers?
that?
Would you like a cup for the leftovers?
Yeah. Oh, good idea. Yes. I forgot to take a piece.
Yeah, you forgot to take a piece.
Okay? Save a teeny piece and put it back in the cup. Carol will come around and put it in the cup. So everybody has to get it. Pretty good. What? Oh, thank you. Oh, yes.
Good.
You put it here. Otherwise, the spirits outside here. Spirits outside, they're jealous. They're looking in. They're naga. They want some. They want some chocolate. Aho Mahasukha Ho. Then you
Aho
say, then,
Mahasukha
of course,
Ho.
we should have a little
Take-
madana, crazy making,
Did you read
a little
it?
wine.
Oh, you put it in.
I put it in.
But we don't. Just imagine.
Mm.
Is there enough to everybody
That's
get some? You got it over there? Joe got it?
They're
No?
waiting.
They're
the hungry
they're
spirits.
the hungry ones.
Oh,
We have a couple.
where's the plate?
Yeah, we have a cup for you.
Oh, good, oh, good. Make sure there's enough for this side. Prasad, you guys know about prasad. All the yogis know that. Have to have a little prasad
Oh, yeah.
with the guru. But I don't know, where's the sesame plant?
It's coming.
Oh, it's among me.
It's among me. Coming soon.
So, and there's the Spring Queen song, which is about 7, 8 verses. Whom all you transcendent lords, you heroes and you yoginis, you Daka and Dakini angels, to all of you I deeply pray. May Heruka, who loves great bliss, join with the bliss-crazed lady, and by their pleasure in the right dwell in the yoga of orgasmic bliss. Ala la, la la ho, a, arali ho. May the stainless Dakini angel host look with love and fulfill our work. And this is so cute. I'm not going to read all of it. I've inflicted on all of you. But see the la la. It's like a ooh la la. It's like
Oh, la la.
la la. So the this is a commentary of Tsongkhapa. Is the clear light selflessness. La is the magic body. That's when you rise in a subtle body and you do all this stuff. La is the realization of their communion. So la la symbolizes the attainment of communion. Then la la ho. La is the lalana winds, and la, the second la is the rasana winds, and the ho is when the winds go into the duty and into the deathless drop in orgasm, which is in the heart center in orgasmic bliss. Then again, a is the truth, is the extremely subtle mind. I is the ordinary conceptions and instincts, and is the extremely subtle wind. And then arali, which means play. Arali means play, but in the arali is the truth body, the dharma body, the reality body. Ra is the beatific body. Li is the emanation body, and Ho is the communion body. So arali Ho.
Arari Ho. That's beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
When you eat it, you have to say Aho Mahasukha Ho.
Aho Mahasukha Ho.
Aho is like hallelujah, Aho Mahasukha Ho.
Aho. Oh, Mahasukha Ho.
That's right. But Mahasukha means great bliss.
Hmm.
Mahasukha. Wilhelm Reich must have known something about that, by some karma, Wilhelm Reich.
Yeah, he had an.
His thing about the function of the orgasm.
Yeah.
It was that the dyad is supposed to be together, but not engage in procreative sexuality. But if they stay together with a certain type of concentration, he didn't teach yoga, he didn't know much about it. But he said then eventually they will be enfolded in a blue light, and that's true what he called orgasmic potency. Rather than just the sort of partial thing of the procreative normal sexuality. And he was in the turn of the century. He was a youngster in Munich and Berlin, and then he went early on after the Russian Revolution. He thought Russia was going to be something they were going to overcome the emotional plague, and then he ran away from Lenin very shortly thereafter. Because right at the very beginning of the Russian Revolution, had the reputation in Europe that it was going to be like free love. It was like the summer of love and all that, And he went there. He thought that was going to be a big change from the militaristic sort of European culture that the Russians had before. And but that he was soon disillusioned, so he came to the U.S. And he gave his teaching. But he was something. He had one of his disciples was here in an earlier incarnation of this play. So it ends. There's a bunch of verses, and the last verse I like. it says, well, it has the same, refrain, whom all you transcendent lords, you heroes and you yoginis, you daka. Can you take it outside now? And put it in the side of the piece of concrete on the bench or something. Not where people sit, but if you could, just put it outside. Whom all you transcendent lords, you heroes and you yoginis, you daka and dakini angels, to all of you I deeply pray. Let me see. As the swarms of bees gorge themselves on the honey essence of the honey flower, may the sixfold perfect lotus fully bloom and satisfy all beings with the great bliss taste. Ala la 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 ho ayya ala li ho. May stainless Dakini angel host look with love and fulfill our work. Actually, Alan tried to help me translate this in a little more racy way, but we couldn't work on it. See, I still insisted on it. We have all the words that were in the Tibetan, and he said, "Oh no, we don't need that one." And I have to say this one, which is Zekida. Paim uchishtabalim tabakshezi swaha. Give the powerful leftovers, the shesha, to the elemental demons. Let them have the fortune to be satisfied. Ho, this host offering ocean of taintless elixir blessed by samadhi, mantra, and mudra, I offer to please you, hosts of oath-bound local guardians. Omaho. Thoroughly enjoy this wish-fulfilling glory. Emaho. Properly perform your helpful deeds. May I and we other yogis and yoginis have good health, long life, power, glory, fame, good fortune, and great happiness. Grant us all the active powers of peace, prosperity, etc. You bound by oath, please protect us, help us achieve all powers, free us from untimely death, sickness, demonic afflictions, obstructions, bad dreams, bad omens, and evil actions. May the world be happy, the year good, the crops increase, the dharma flourish. May goodness and happiness abound, and all wishes be accomplished. By power of this generous offering, may I become a natural Buddha for all beings, freeing by my gifts the host of beings left from the time of the previous Buddhas. So that's the day. That's the dedication. Okay? So good luck to everybody. All right? And go home and take a nap. And remember, when you start going home, and you're in the traffic, and Governor Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio are stalling the subways, non-duality.
It's all good.
Non-duality. Menla in your heart. Medicine Buddha in your heart.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Richard. As usual,
Thank
I
you.
forgot to bring a Tibetan scarf. I'm really bad at formalities.
Oh, we're
Mary,
not-
thank you
we're
so
not.
much. Without Mary, we would never know that you have sesame seeds growing in your table.
I don't know.
Dear.
It's just a science experiment.
What?
It's just a science experiment.
Science.
Yeah.
That's life is a science experiment.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that there are very powerful scientists, even before Mark Zuckerberg, who are seeing into tying all beings together and all the human beings and trying to help them out. And by the way, you should all read The Man of Peace, the illustrated life story of the Dalai Lama of Tibet. Because I worked on it for a lot of years, and one of my friends, colleagues, worked on it for 20. And it was done at the wish of his first wife when she was dying of cancer.
And he was with us this evening. At
What?
dinner. He was here at dinner this evening.
You know?
So, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean William Myers was
Yeah.
here? Oh, I see. Yeah, he was the other one. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the one who did it. Right, that's right. And it's really
Oh,
great because-
William's right here. William's sitting in the back quietly. This is William Myers. He's one of the co-authors here.
That's great. Nice to welcome. Nice to, where's Marianne? She's there? She didn't let you out of the house alone, I hope.
Germany.
Good, good. So the thing is that why is it really great to read it? Everybody should read it, not just because I'm trying to market the book. You can get it really cheap at discount from Amazon. But the reason I want to read it, because this, if you understand the story and read it and see the vision of him in the middle of the global warming and Thucydides' trap, and all these people predicting war, mega war with China, Russia going insane and breaking the world order of the UN by aggressively taking territory and so forth, which actually he was led into by Bush and Cheney stupidly invading Iraq. I have to take the blame. We have to take some of the blame there. But still, Putin's bad. In the middle of all that, there's this Avalokiteshvara emanation, supposedly, although he would deny it. If he was here, he would, don't talk like that. I don't want to hear about that. I'm a simple Buddhist monk. He goes, but he is. Anyway, that he's out there, slugging it out with these people and upholding that, war and violence and so-called power is not the answer. Dialogue, love, friendliness, kindness, right? His religion is kindness, right? He says that. You see him functioning, and you will overcome what people tend to do, which is to say, oh, I love dialogue, but it's all going bad, and it's all hopeless, it's all destroyed, and, his nonviolence really doesn't work, But, how's the violence been working? Everybody's happy with the violence? Oh, Afghanistan is doing great. Or wherever. The Middle East is really wonderful. So, nonviolence has also not overcome the stupid, asura behavior of military-industrial warfare. The planet is not built to take industrial warfare. It cannot. A couple guys can hack it out with a sword and this and that, but with their swords, the samurais can get out there. But, with all those machines and all those bombs, no way. And that's one thing. And the other thing is the industrial greed, consumerism. So he's out there, and Tibet, Tibet is like standing rock. And they will prevail. But we don't, and one reason that they haven't prevailed yet is we don't think they will prevail. We think, oh no, that'll never happen. The good guys will never win. We're all indoctrinated into that. And therefore we concede defeat ahead of time. Of course the good guys win. Like Gandhi said, that's a great thing. Gandhi said in that movie, I love that. When he had to give up his strike because some of the strikers had burned down a police station and killed some cops, in some town somewhere. So he stopped his fast and gave up the strike, in his battle against the British. And then his American disciple, she says, well, Gandhiji, when this happens, do you get terribly discouraged that it's impossible to do this, what you're trying to do, get free via non-violence, etc.? He said, not at all, not at all. But she says, well, what do you do? How do you keep your enthusiasm going, or your optimism? He says, well, one mob of 40, 50 people flipped out in one town, and they burned down this place, and 10, 15 people were killed. But 200 million people were out in the street, and they were saying this and that, and then they were fine. And they helped each other across the street, and they talked to the cops, and they did what nonviolence, where you're supposed to talk to the police guy in a nice way, and, like the Occupy people did. I like the Occupy people. They had a sign that I especially liked, which they went around showing to the cops. And they said, you guys are one layoff away from being over on this side. And those big Irish cops, I can see them smiling when they saw that. They understood that. So, nonviolence is obviously the way it works. And anyway, it's too late now. Talk to you. See you tomorrow. We're going to say goodbye for 2 hours tomorrow.
Yeah.
So the schedule tomorrow will be, for those of you who are Ashtanga practitioners, you know what this means, but it's a moon day. So if you dare come into here, you may. And we will, on moon days in the Ashtanga system, people do not practice asana.
Oh, they don't?
No, because it's not auspicious and various other things. But we're going to practice some asana tomorrow, because somewhere on the globe, it's probably not the moon day tomorrow. And since we're everywhere.
Well, there's a thing about it. It's a special triple Leo moon.
Yeah.
Very, very fiery moon. And it's a triple Leo, they say. And therefore, inner creativity is going to come out.
Yeah.
And people are going to be very original tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go, thank you. And so, if you want to do a self-practice in the morning, obviously the place is open. And then the 7:15 class, what we're going to guide is sort of what you could do as a moon day practice, which will be emphasizing some of the finishing poses and some of that.
Which are moon poses.
Moon poses.
Yeah, the moon being
The root of the palate. So the moon is
very
where
important.
the nectar, the compassion is stored. And so if you want to make sure that that sort of system is working within you, it's a good thing to play with.
Wonderful.
And then then we'll have breakfast, and then
Yeah.
at 10:45 again we'll meet,
Okay.
and we're
But we
gonna.
have to stop probably, I think, at 11:30 or 11.
Oh,
We don't have
11:30.
much time if
I
we do
think it's
10:45.
10 to
Because some people have to pack their room, some
Oh,
people are
okay,
leaving.
on the, so we'll start at 10:30?
I think maybe
Okay.
10:30.
10:30, and it said 10:30 to
Just
12,
1
but
hour.
we'll end at 10:30 to 11:30. And we'll kind of summarize the whole thing. So
That's all right.
it'll be the cliff
Well,
notes.
you summarize it for us, pop quiz.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the test is then after that. So get some good rest, Justin.
Okay. There's more chocolate here if I want.
Chocolate,
Bless.
very important. The bonfire's been lit, so if you guys want to join Dean and Tom down there, they're going to hang out by the fire. And again, if when you guys are done, if you can just kick the fire out a little bit to its ashes, and that way we don't have to worry about setting the place on fire while we sleep.
Completely.
You know, when you go to the bonfire, you can take a piece of paper, you can write down whatever obstructions in yourself that you've encountered, and wherever your sort of puzzles are, and whatever they are, and anything that you feel has obstructed your practice or whatever, and then you can throw it in the fire. That's very healthy, very helpful.
And the people watching on live stream will be having live streams again at 10:30 tomorrow. See you then.
Justin, did you get chocolate? You better get some.
That's good.
Okay. Do you want to do some dedication?
Oh,
We did already.
we did.
This video was brought to you in part through the generous support of Tibet House US membership community and viewers like you. To learn more about the benefits of Tibet House membership, please visit tibethouse.us. Thanks for watching. Tashi Delek.